Well, it's 2025, so seems timely to watch Ready Player One. And if you've seen it, then you might remember that it was in this reality that 2025 was the year that the first build of this virtual space was launched, Oasis. Now, this movie was made in 2018, and VR has somewhat increased in popularity with major contenders like noteworthy in the 3D community, of course, is Apple Vision Pro, and of course, Facebook's Meta, which kind of bears more resemblance to, in the sense that it has a trying to create a virtual second reality. The movie starts out with a very interesting trailer park of sorts. It's basically just containers. People live minimally because in this virtual world is where they think their real lives are at. And the 3D conversion is almost non-existent for these opening scenes. Some might think it's 2D. It's not, though. You can tell that it has been rotoscoped. There is some 3D going on that's accurate to the material. It's just extremely faint. And then as we, the viewer, get to see inside the virtual world, the 3D gets stronger. It's still not the strongest 3D, but it's good, and it varies in quality. Some are still more faint, some have good pop outs, some even comic scenes have strong depth. So it's kind of a mixed bag, the 3D throughout this one, but of course, it's definitely the preferred experience, and there's a lot of great 3D moments. And later on, when it does go back and forth between the real world, you do get some stronger, um, better 3D scenes than the opening was. And a lot of what is talked about is, of course, sort of a commentary on the real world. People get concerned about excessive use of devices, being in the virtual world more than interaction in the real world. The character says regarding Oasis, except for eating, sleeping, and bathroom breaks. Whatever people want to do, they do it in Oasis. And since everyone is here, that's where we meet each other. It's where they make friends. And then it also brings up the very real thing of people pretending to be who they're not, or having a fantasy side to themselves, an image they project to the public. He mentions, quote, tall, beautiful, scary, a different sex, a different species, live action, cartoon. Even shows a guy who spends most of his time in Oasis and just losing his mind when things go wrong in the virtual world. It's mentioned in one of the things, how much of our money did you spend on upgrades? And which is a thing in not only online gaming, massive multiplayer games, but even just simple casual games that have in-app purchases. Some people go crazy with that at the expense of more important things. And then there's product placement, which is kind of ironic because the studio doing it, Warner Brothers, is actually using their own IP. Like you'll catch glimpses of RoboCop and Looney Tunes, Batman, many other characters if you keep an eye out. And the other studios too. It has Back to the Future, notably. He drives the DeLorean. So it's kind of like what they did with Space Jam: A New Legacy, except not terrible. And the MacGuffin is this trying to find these Easter eggs in the game that the game's creator, who passed away, hid in there. And it's an interesting plot, the way they built it, like how there's these factions and groups that there are like a business to work together to find these things. And down to individuals doing it on their own. And the movie ends with a call to spend more time in the real world. Um, but still, the game's creator is like presented as a godlike figure. Um, the main character, working towards his conclusion, it sheds a tear in real life. So it's just funny, this spiritual need humans have. When you let go of something, something else will be latched onto. There's no way around that, really. And we see that in the past century, which is very different from the millennia before it, how pop culture figures have taken on iconic status. And for some people, not just in a, oh, that's interesting sense, but oh, I want to model my life since. And even in just commercial imagery, like just last month, I was passing ornaments in the store of like Cheetos and Reese's and other iconic product brands made into Christmas ornaments. And it's understandable because of after decades of your constant commercial inundation, it's understandable these would take on an iconic status. And there's that word again, icon, which originally was a religious word. So yeah, when people have these emotional experiences, they will naturally model their life and morality on these either real life celebrities or fictional characters and stories. And that can be for better or for worse. But regardless of where your personal worldview falls on that, um, it's a fun story. It's a fun movie. Uh, Definitely 3D is the way to see it. Good behind the scenes bonus material on the disc. I'll see you next time.